to our candidates, to our residents joining today, and to those who will watch the event online a little bit later. We're glad you're here. I want to start by being clear about what this event is and who's behind it. This forum was organized entirely by Charlton citizens, not by the town. It's not affiliated with any political party or candidate. Our only goal is to give our community a chance to hear directly from the people who want to serve us. That said, I'd like to recognize some people. Betsy, our library director, for getting the facility squared away. Kathleen Walker. Kathleen, thank you for the refreshments at the back of the room. If you haven't taken advantage of that, please do. Also for being a very experienced mentor to me, I appreciate it. And this forum is part of it's a tradition of civic engagement in Charlton, and it's been run for many years by Kathleen, so thank you. And honestly, there have been a lot of folks who've helped get the word out. The Council on Aging, the Overlook, the Town Administrator's Office, the Charlton Villager, the Worcester T&G, Yankee Express, and the Charlton Area Community Facebook Forum. They've all helped to spread the word, so you probably heard about it through one of those channels. Local elections shape the day-to-day lives of everyone in Charlton. Our roads, our schools, our services, our community. Decisions made at the local level affect us more directly than anything happening at the state or national level. Events like this are meant to give residents the information they need to make informed choices, and they give candidates a fair opportunity to be heard. Finally, a word about the format. This is a candidates forum. It's not a debate. Candidates will not be responding to each other or challenging one another's answers. Each person will have equal time to speak, and our focus is on giving every candidate a fair and equal opportunity to share their perspectives with you directly.
Yes, sir.
And you'll have the opportunity to talk directly with candidates after the moderated segments. Frank, our moderator, will walk you through the specifics in just a moment. If members of our community would like to organize a debate in the future, I encourage you, step up to the plate, organize it, gauge the candidate's interest, gauge the public's interest. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Frank, our moderator.
Thank you, and good morning. Good morning. Kind of fun on a sunny day. Here we are. Going to listen to people that are going to do work for us. And some of you will select. We have two races today, and in a moment I'll share how we're going to do it. But maybe I should share with you. I see faces I know and faces I don't know. So maybe I should tell you who I am, so you don't think it's just some really old white-haired guy standing up here. I served in Charlton for 24 years as chairman and member of the finance board. I served for 7 years on the planning board, 4 years in the historical commission, and I'm in my 50th year as chairman and member of the Charlton Historical Society. So I've been around town. I know some of you, and I think this will be a nice time, things for you to hear that you need to hear. We have a lot of questions to go through, and I would just like to tell you that all the people that you see in front of you will be up for election on May 2nd. 2026, from 8 to 8 at Charlton Elementary School. And like Dave, I'd like to give a special thanks to Kathleen Walker, who has done so much for so many years, for so many committees, and I know that myself because I've served with her. And it's always nice to have people who step up and do the work. Also, the town library director to get the space set for us, and for Drew back there, the media guy who I've known for years, who takes care of all the sound. And I hope you can hear me. I'm used to talking fairly loud. I'm a retired high school teacher. And I'm used to being interrupted, so if you wave, that's okay. The other thing, a few things I wanted to tell you is that I first met Dave Smolsky a week ago. Didn't know who he was. And I'm pleased to tell you that he's done a remarkably good, efficient, organized task here to put this together for you. So before we begin, there's a few, I call them democracy reminders. For example, the last day to register to vote in the town election is April 22nd. So keep that in mind, either online or in person. The last day to vote absentee is Friday, May 1st, 8 to 12 noon. The annual town meeting is May 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m., Charlton Middle School. And I think, as a person, I'm wearing a tie that says "We the People," so I get the idea. as a former history and law teacher, I can tell you that democracy only works when you show up. The country is run by those who show up. And you can disagree, and you can disagree with almost any position. We all do. But show up, vote, take part. It's extremely important to take part, especially in a local community. I often told my students that the best example of democracy is a town meeting. Everybody there, one vote, one chance to speak. You cannot beat that. So please show up. Before we begin, I can tell you that we have only 2 contested seats, but all the candidates will be given a semi-equal opportunity in that I've chosen to do it, and the choice they left up to me was, as I get to the contested races, of which we had 2, each person will get a question, 1-minute answer. When we get to the contested races for Selectmen and Bay Path, they will each get 2 questions, so that the people that are running give you a little more information as opposed to the person who's unopposed, and I hope that works well for us today. When I get to the end, I will begin again and we'll run through the cycle. It'll be in alphabetical order when I begin the question. But before we begin, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, before we begin any of it, I am going to read statements submitted to me by the individuals who are not here. For this, I shall get cheers. The first person is Amelia Morin, Board of Assessors. Hello, and thank you for considering to re-elect me to the Board of Assessors. I've been with the Assessors Department since 1999 for over 19 years as an assessor assistant, retiring in 2018. I continue to support the department, serving on the Board of Assessors since then. I bring many years of experience and knowledge to the office and would love to continue to do so. I apologize that I was not able to attend as I had a previous engagement that brought me out of town. Thank you in advance for understanding. I wish all of you the best of luck. Amelia Morin. I'm doing these in alphabetical order also. My name is Matt Gagner, and I'm seeking re-election to the Charlton Board of Health. I've been serving the town for nearly 20 years. I've learned a lot in my time on the board. Besides the everyday oversight for public health and safety, the board is currently tasked with the oversight of the capping of the 54 Flint Road landfill. This is roughly a $2 million project funded by the town of Charlton taxpayers. It has been my mission so far to date and in the future to make sure this large project remains on budget with the highest quality we expect and in compliance with the DEP. It has always been important to me to make sure our office has an open door policy and to try to be helpful to the public when needed. Thank you for considering me for a re-election to the Board of Health. Matt Gagner. My name is Bonnie Seifert, and I'm running for the 5-year position on the Housing Authority. It has been my pleasure to serve as Vice Chair this past year. We, the members, oversee the housing policies and procedures. We meet monthly and review the Treasurer's report, tenant comments, old and new business, and the Executive Director's report. Donna Gothia is our Executive Director, who is very experienced at her job. She balances the monthly budget and all stipulations our state requires. The authority manages 30 one-bedroom units for the elderly and handicapped, 6 3-bedroom units for families, 36 units total located on One Meadow Drive. It's a safe and secure, affordable community. Situated on the premises is Kathy Keel's Memorial Wildflower Meadow in memory of my beautiful mother. She was a staple of our community. Both my parents were very actively engaged in preserving the town's history and its quaint, tight community. I was raised to be involved, hence why I'm running again for the volunteer elected position of the Housing Authority. A little bit about me. I graduated from Bay Path in 1986, at top of my class in cosmetology. Immediately after graduating, I started my first job as a stylist and have been self-employed for 38 years. 26 of them with my small salon here in Charlton. I raised my daughter and son here, and both are presently serving in our United States military. Consequently, why I'm not here today is we're visiting my son. He's stationed at Eglin Air Force Base. Thank you again to David for for making today happen by bringing our town together to meet the candidates respectfully. Thank you, Bonnie. And finally, Richard Whitehead, Library Trustee. Fellow candidates and members of the Charlton community, my name is Richard Whitehead and I'm running for position on the Library Board of Trustees. I'm sorry that I'm unable to join you today, but I have a long-standing family commitment today. Thank you for allowing me to supply this brief statement. I first moved to Charlton in 1990, and after a number of years living in Charlton and Southbridge, my wife and I bought our home in 1998 and have lived here since. We raised two great children who attended the Dudley Charlton School District, and I have had the opportunity to volunteer with the Charlton Youth Council for about 10 years. In the early 2000s, I served a number of terms on the library board and more recently spent 3 years as treasurer of the Charlton Public Library Charitable Trust Fund. I believe our library is a gem, acting as a community center and supplying opportunities to all education and entertainment, like today. If elected, I'd be grateful for the opportunity to once again serve the community in this role. Thank you for your time. So that is the people that are unable to make their statements. The next thing I would like to turn to is to go down the line in alphabetical order once again and ask the individuals who are seated before you to give a 2-minute introduction about themselves, why they are running. It's their opportunity to speak to you. We will start with the Bay Path group. We'll start with, try to give you an alphabetical order. Clifford C. Cloutier. Clifford, 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Please pass the mic down, and if you would do us a favor, a little microphone here, try to hold it fairly close to your mouth. That helps everybody hear.
Good morning. My name is Clifford Cloutier. In the fall of 1972, Bay Path opened, and I was one of the few students walking into the doors at Bay Path Vocational High School, and I was in the electronics department. I was part of a 40-year graduating class. The first 4 years of the school, I was the class president of the class of 1976. I went on to Worcester State College and graduated with a double major, secondary education, math certification, and a media specialist certification. Bay Path had opened for that position, and I was hired in 1980 school year as a media specialist and a math teacher. In a few years, I advanced to the director of technology. Then the superintendent wanted to have the principal for the school. I became the first principal at Bay Path and held the position for 17 years, until I retired after 43 years as an employee of the Bay Path School District. During my time at Bay Path, we weathered Proposition 2.5, the budget crisis in the 90s, the growth of the student body, the changes in policy, implementation of the MCAS petition towns for the renovation of the project, maintain staff through lean budgets, and growing Bay Path community. I have a lot of love for that, what the school stands for. The reason I'm running is that I'm hearing that there are a lot of changes going on at the school that the parents and students are not happy with. I know I am only one vote on the committee, but I would hope that I could help use my knowledge to help the school, the student body, and the whole staff. I feel that the school committee has the power to do this. I think I can help. I have been a member of the Charlton community for 41 years when I moved here with my wife. We belong to, I didn't expect music behind that, but we belong to St. Joseph's Church. We have 2 children that went through the Dudley Charlton school system. Kids were involved in soccer, softball, dance, field hockey, pop water, basketball, track, and field.
Clifford,
baseball.
I think I apologize. I meant to say it earlier. When you hear the music, time's up.
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you that, but you need to wrap up. All set? Thank you. Thank you. Now, next will be Michael Tiberi.
All right, thought I had 3 minutes. All right, I'll try to make it.
Yeah,
The mic's not working on you.
Can you hold it really close to your face, please? There's a lot on it.
Just got that right there. Hello, hello.
There we go.
You got it.
Okay. All right. Good morning, my name is Mike Tiberi. I'm honored to express my continuing interest in serving the school committee at Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School, representing the great town of Charlton. Proudly served 10 years, 9 months. During my tenure, I served on Buildings and Grounds, Audit Subcommittee, and Past Building Construction Subcommittee when I was with the Construction Manager Risk Selection Board during the school's renovation project in 2015. I currently serve on the HVAC Advisory Board. I am a product of the skilled trades with 43 years experience as a professional builder and construction manager. I'm a graduate of Tantasco Regional High School where I studied machine tool drafting technology and completed 2 years of study in architectural engineering at Wentworth, Boston. I began my career in plumbing and pipe fitting trades, registered apprentice 1983, working for my father, Frank Tiberi Jr., and my grandfather, Frank Tiberi Sr., both lifelong residents of Charlton. The Tiberi family has been a strong part of the Charlton community since the early 1900s. 6 generations as of today. Originally immigrant farmers from Corfino, Italy. They lived on Freeman Road before moving to what is known as Tiberi Corner Farm, located at Route 20 and Northside Road, the Cornerstone stands now. My grandfather was the first plumbing inspector in the town of Charlton, and he was also involved in the Bay Path search for a new building site, working with Clarence Marshall. My mother's side, the Belanger family immigrated from Quebec, Canada, late 20s, 1930s. They all worked at Charlton Woolen Mill, and my Pepe Al was a machinist at Charlton Woolen Mill. Been married for 34 years to my wife Elaine, lifelong Charlton resident, 2 sons, 2 daughter-in-laws, 2 grandchildren, all residents of Charlton. My youngest son Marco, graduate of Bay Path 2014 in the HVAC program, currently serves on the Charlton Zoning Board of Appeals. My wife and I are active parishioners at St. Joseph's Church, Charlton. We give our time and talent back to others. That's it. So thank you very much. I wanted to talk about my. I thought I had 3 minutes. Yes.
Thank you, Michael. And if I might add, whenever the mic is passed to you, please try to hold it. I know when you've got it in front of you, you think, but it doesn't respond. You need to have it 1 or 2 inches from your lips, and then you'll be able to hear more. I've got kind of the same thing here. It's very sensitive to that. So the next person that we will hear from is the Dudley Charlton Regional School Committee person for the 1-year unopposed seat, Kristen Martin.
Start here. All right. Hi, I'm Kristen Martin. I'm running for the Dudley Charlton Regional School Committee 1-year seat. I'm a Charlton parent and a data professional, and as of next year, I'll be able to say that my children have attended every school in the Charlton School District available to them. Charlton L, Heritage, Charlton Middle School, and this fall my daughter will be up over at Shepherd Hill. I've been lucky enough to volunteer in all of these schools as a classroom volunteer, a library volunteer, show choir, and I'm also a current and past member of the school council at the Charlton Middle School. I also coach soccer. Thank you to my son who is here full of cleats and soccer uniform and all. We came straight from our game. So thank you for him. Big shout out to him for that. So this community, it's not just where I live, it's where I show up every week. So I am running for that school committee because I believe that every child in our district deserves, a real shot at success, and we have some work to do in this area. So our district recently published some data. If you haven't looked at it, it's all available on our district school website. Strongly encourage you to go have a look. We're showing some real achievement gaps, and these gaps are growing wider as we go up in our grades, particularly in middle school. At the same time, enrollment of our special education students has risen 30% in the last 5 years. Okay, 30% more children who need specialized support, need more coordination, need more oversight. The school committee's job is to make sure that the right policies are in place, that the resources are reaching the right students, and that families can see clearly what's done and whether it's working. So communication and accountability, they're not extras, they're how we close gaps. So I'm a data engineer. My job is to take complex information and make it clear enough that people can act on it. So that's what I want to bring to the committee. I want to make sure every policy we set, every dollar we spend traces back to that one question. Is it actually reaching our students? So thank you very much. May 2nd, 8 to 8 at Heritage School, I think, not Charlton L. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen. And we thank you for doing your best to understand that we have to keep it to 2 minutes, so we use the music rather than me saying, okay, you're done. That wouldn't be as much fun. So thank you. The next person to speak will be Anthony Aubie. Did I say it right?
Correct.
Okay, Anthony Aubie, please, of the Dudley Charlton Regional School Committee, 3-year, unopposed.
Good afternoon and welcome. I want to thank the moderator, David, Drew, Kathleen. We have so many great people around the room and everyone for attending. My name is Anthony Aubie. I am currently a 1-year seat on the DCRST School Committee. This year, a position for the 3-year opened up, and so I'm currently running for the 3-year seat. I just want to take a quick moment to say I've worked in consult with Kristen for years on the school council at CMS, and she is a wonderful asset to our community. I have 2 amazing children, Jasper, who's 12 and at middle school, with Xander, that just came from the soccer field. My daughter is 8 at Heritage, and my wife is always at the library. I worked 15 years in higher education in Boston. I served on 3 school councils here in Charlton. I proudly did my due diligence to move that needle and collaborate. I think collaborating is the biggest thing we need to do in this community. And we do an effective job, and we just need to continue moving the needle on that. I proudly chaired the subcommittee for finance and budget, and also capital outlay and safety this year for the DCRST School Committee. I'm proud to say that I have a 100% attendance rating for every committee I've served on this year. I was also appointed a liaison to the Heritage School Council by my peers. I have strong values and compassion and a lengthy, in-depth background in municipal government, municipal finance, and a strong passion for students, and I believe I bring that to the table every single day, relentlessly. Lost my spot. For those of you who know me personally, and those who don't, I'm a tenacious hard worker that anything worth doing is worth doing right. And my commitments are my commitments. That's all for today, folks, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Anthony. The next person is running for library trustee for the library board, 3 years unopposed, Lisa Aubie.
Hi, good morning. Thank you all for coming, and thanks for those at home who are watching. Also, thank you to our moderator, Frank, and for Dave for organizing this very important event. Just a little bit about my experience. I've been working in sales and marketing and communication for the last 4+ years, and before that I spent 20+ years working in management, including at Barnes & Noble for several years, which I feel really helps deepen my appreciation for books, strengthen my skills for leadership, communication, budgeting, customer service, and community engagement through all of that. That's all skills that I feel can translate to a library trustee. I also grew up being a lifelong library kid. I always was hanging out at the library growing up. I bring my kids to the library all the time. We have favorite memories of looking for the newest Berenstain Bears book, or Care Bears, or Babysitter's Club when I got a little bit older. Competing in summer reading challenges, which my kids love to do here at our library here. So I'm trying to start a lifelong love of reading with my children and learning, and I want to help instill it with the entire community. They love to come here. They love the knowledgeable and super friendly staff here. They love finding cool new reads, taking part in fun activities, which has included fun pink hair, henna, competing in puzzle races, and just meeting up with some new friends. So the library isn't just a place to get books, but it's also a pillar of our community and a gem here, as many have said. And I want to continue to champion that by working together with the fellow trustees that are already here, with the library staff and the community as a whole, so that way we can support literacy and welcoming and being an inclusive space for everyone. So thank you for your time today, and I hope I earn your support May 2nd at Heritage.
Thank you, Lisa. The next introduction will be by Kenny LaFerriere, if I said that correctly, I hope. and he's running for moderator, 3 years. You're taking my job.
No, thank you. I said I answered anything, so it's no problem. Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you all for attending, and for those at home, thank you for watching. Thank you to Dave for setting this up. Thank you to, again, Frank, our moderator, and Drew for technology, and everybody putting this together. My name is Kenny LaFerriere, and I'm running to be the next town moderator. I want to take a moment to thank Noreen Smith for her years of service. She performed her duties with caring commitment to the town of Charlton and did it professionally and with a smile. So thank you, Noreen. And I know she couldn't be here today, so I'm sure she'll be watching it at home. When I heard that Noreen wasn't running for re-election, I decided this was a way I could give back and serve our community. While I am running unopposed, it is still important for me to share why I possess the skills needed to be the next town moderator. I am uniquely qualified due to my many years of experience with public speaking through my work with New England Donor Services. My career requires me to prepare presentations and present information about organ and tissue donation in front of large and small groups of people. These events occur both in hospital settings as well as in the community, spreading awareness about this important topic. Additionally, my years as a former school committee member with the Dudley Charlton Regional School Committee, who I also served as chairperson, gave me valuable experience in municipal government. I always found it important to run a smooth meeting by giving everyone a chance to have their say, while also keeping the meeting focused on the agenda and the task at hand. My additional involvement in the community, both here in Charlton and my church in Dudley, has provided opportunities for me to lead meetings in an organized and effective way. My goal as the next town moderator is to ensure that our town meetings continue to be run effectively and efficiently. I will pride myself to ensure each meeting is led in such a way where everyone clearly understands what is being voted on, and everyone will have an opportunity to speak in a forum where expectations of decorum will be strictly adhered to. It is imperative that all sides, oh, I guess that's in my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kenny. The next one is the Planning Board, 5 years, William Fontaine.
Thank you, Frank. Hello, Charlton. Good morning. It's great to see so many friends and neighbors here today. I'm running for re-election to the Planning Board. I'm currently the chairperson of the Planning Board and supported by members who are here today, your other friends and neighbors. On the way here, I saw the other half of town. They're all at the Little League fields and the soccer fields. And here we are at the library. The other fields are full today. What a great town we live in. This is fantastic. This is why we love it. And I see that you guys are all involved, which makes me very happy. It's fantastic. So the Planning Board is going through a lot of changes currently. And you know who's helping us with all these changes? Miss Jane Garney, acting administrator, or planning director right now. Thank you, Jane, for helping us with that. I've been involved with the Planning Board. I'm currently also on the Economic Development Committee in town for many years. And I work with Drew on TV Charlton. So I've been involved in the Charlton community for a long time. So thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to help in my little way with the Planning Board. And I'm running for re-election. Thank you.
Thank you, William. The next person running for election is the Recreation Commissioner, 3 years, Brad Howard.
Thank you very much. Good morning. We'll take 10 seconds out of this. If you drive a maroon truck, bronze medal, thank you very much. 6954. We were a little late because your tailpipe was about to blow off the truck, and I fixed that. So if you find it not the way you left it, it's your truck, and I didn't scratch it, I promise. That said, my family's been active in this town since long before I was here. My dad owned the library, my uncle's at the senior center. It's a beautiful place to live. We've been here just a little less than 20 years. We came from Quincy to here. It's the reason I'm running for this position. I currently am your elected constable, one of your elected constables. There are two, Mike Manukowitz, myself. I volunteer on Old Home Day, And basically anywhere else volunteers needed, litter pickups on Earth Day, what have you. I believe we have to be involved. The reason I wanted to get up here today is this. This town cannot function without volunteers. I think it's absolutely proper that a person should come to town, get the lay of the land, know people, get to know exactly, maybe not exactly, but know how people are. Know, get the general lay of the land before jumping right into whatever it is you want. Thus, I seek appointment to the election to the Recreation Commission because it's something I feel I ought to know more about and I can make a positive contribution to it. My career was a locomotive engineer for Amtrak for 36 years, 100%. It wasn't always beautiful, but I loved it. I retired in 2019. So I have all the time in the world to commit to this. I love it. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Brad. We'll now move on to the selectman, seat 4, 3 years, the incumbent, Steve Coronis.
All right. Good morning, Charlie. I'd like to thank everybody by name, but you're only giving me 2 minutes, so I'm not going to do that. My name's Steve Coronis. I've lived in town 25 years. I raised my son in town. He went from Little League through Shepherd Hill. Now he's about to graduate college. It's a great town. I'm running for my 3rd term, and every year I have an idea in my head that I kind of run with. And the 1st term, 6 years ago, I ran on an economic development platform. They hadn't really met in a year or two when I thought it was economic development was very important. Andrew Golis was very new at that time. He also felt the same way. So that helped. That helped immensely. We got on board. We got that all organized. Within a year, we got a knock on the door from this company called Amazon. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be easy, right? It's just the whole economic development thing. So Amazon came through. The 2nd term, it came to, well, now we can figure out how we want to spend the money. And the fire station had gone through, the public safety building had gone through two failed votes at town meeting. Fire station was definitely in need. The town embraced, I got on that committee as well. The town embraced it, open arms. Every single vote that needed, that it jumped over that hurdle, and now you can see it going up right in front of the middle school. Now we're at the place where I think, and the idea in my head now is that we've spent the money from Amazon. We really pretty much have, and it's not by. The schools have increased about $500,000 every year for the last 40 years. So if Amazon's $6 million in income, you can pretty much tell that money's been spent. So I don't want to doom and gloom it, but I think the idea in my head for my 3rd term is really be careful, ask a lot of questions, and look at where we spend the money we need. Thank you, and I look forward to your talk.
Thank you, Steve. The next person is Selectman, running for seat against another gentleman. This is for seat 5, 3 years, Mike Kevorkian.
Good morning. I am Mike Kevorkian. I am running for seat 5, Selectman. I have been in Charlton since 1976, so I just turned 50 and celebrated my 50th birthday here. I left for a short while when I was in the United States Marine Corps. I served for 8 years, 4 active duty, 4 inactive as a reservist. I was a Marine Combat Instructor of Water Survival and a motor transport operator. I've traveled around the world from Okinawa to South Korea and Spain. I'm looking forward to taking the next step and serving the town of Charlton. I had ran last year. It was my first time running, and this is my 2nd time running now. I belong to a few different committees here in town. I'm on the American Legion. I'm part of the executive committee for them. As you can tell, I'm probably a big fan of veterans. I work for Veterans Inc. out in Worcester. I also done some work for Habitat for Humanity in Rhode Island, building homes for veterans. I'm also on the bylaws review committee now as well. And what I found was the attendance when I started coming to these committees, and I noticed that there was between 2, 3, 4, and 5 people coming to these committees. I said, wow, there needs to be some more attendance. People need to be more involved with their town. And the more I got involved, the more I felt the need to be involved. So I do look to donate my time, my service. My kids are now growing up. They are 12 and 16. They have gone through every school. I believe Mr. Cloutier was at Bay Path when I graduated in 1994. So a lot of familiar faces are around. And I look to continue that and keep everything going and keep Charlton's character the way Charlton was when I grew up here. Good schools, good fire, good community, well-funded, well-supported, and I just look to doing my next part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And our final introduction will be for Selectman Seat 5, 3 years, Bruce Menon.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this working? Yes. I would like to thank Dave and Frank for their work on this. I would like to thank my army of volunteers who have been so supportive. And I would really like to thank the people of Charlton who have been very gracious as I've gone door to door, as I've met you at meetings and things. And I also want to thank my partner, Kathleen Dermody, who is the reason I'm in Charlton. I moved here 3 years ago, fell in love with Kathleen, and although I started in 1982, I worked in the Blackstone Valley in Whitensville, ran a continuum of residential programs for people with mental illness, a long career in nonprofits as a manager. My education, my background is I've got an international baccalaureate diploma, I've got a bachelor and a master's in special education. I've got a certificate of advanced graduate studies in dispute resolution, which when I tell people that as I meet them, they tell me that's going to be an asset in service here. I have served, this is my 9th electoral campaign in the city of Newburyport, where I lived for 30 years. I served on the school committee for 22 years, winning an achievement award from the Mass Association of School Committees. I was also elected to their Charter Review Commission and helped rewrite the city charter for the first time in 99 years. I volunteer a lot. It's just always been my nature. Here in Charlton, when I got here, I got to meet a lot of people, which I didn't find that as an obstacle, as an opportunity to get to know people. I volunteer at the Senior Center, teaching a writers group there. I volunteer at Overlook, where I teach a playwriting group over there. I serve on the Charlton Cultural Council. I serve on the siting committee for the Community Senior Center. This is, I was just getting the good stuff.
Thank you, Bruce. And that concludes our introductions. We will now move into the phase. We have approximately an hour, I've been advised, of asking questions. We asked for people to submit questions in the past few weeks. I have many of those before me, lots and lots. People were very kind to submit many questions. We will never be able to get to all of them. We'll get to as many as we can, and if you wish to submit a question now, that you really need to have submitted this paper in the back, and you could certainly do that. I've had 3 people submit questions to me earlier this morning, and we will begin. But before, I would like to thank all of the candidates for being as concise as possible. We'll now move into the question phase, where you have 1 concise minute and the same music. So we should be able to get this. We're going to begin again with Bay Path. We'll begin again and try to keep it alphabetical to Cliff Cloutier. And I will begin by asking Cliff the very first question. This question will also be asked of the other person running. The question is, what additional support would you advocate for to ensure students from all backgrounds can thrive in a vocational setting once admitted?
With the students that come in to the school, they go through through rotation through all the shops, and they have to make sure. And everything going through the school, I know in the past, has been where every student is treated equally. And that's the most important thing. I always spoke when I was the principal for 17 years. That is one of the main focuses. We watched over for the kids and for the respect of no matter who they are. Doesn't matter nationality, anything. We watch for the kids. And that's the main purpose of the school itself. And overall, in making sure that they're getting proper education, being treated right, and being treated equal. And that is the main lookout for the school. And that's what I hope is continuing on.
Thank you, Clifton. I will now repeat the question for Michael Tiberi. The question is, what additional support would you advocate for to ensure students from all backgrounds can thrive in a vocational setting once admitted?
Yeah, so I second Cliff 100%, okay? Adding that all kids of nationality, color, race, creed, right, are treated fairly. Obviously, the vocational school process is a competitive process, but once kids are admitted, they should have every opportunity to learn in an open environment where everybody's treated fairly, right? Everybody's treated with respect and honor, and they should have the best resources and tools. That's where I came from. I felt the same thing when I went to vocational school, and I want the same thing for our kids going forward. And being currently on the school committee, I think that's been fostered, and Cliff being the previous principal, we're currently doing it, it's been done, and we're gonna continue doing it, regardless of me or him. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We'll now move to the Dudley-Charlton Regional School District, that committee. And for the one-year seat, the first question will go, actually, if you want an alphabetical order, the first question will go to Anthony Osby, I'm sorry. And that question is, special education costs are rising in districts across Massachusetts. How would you approach managing those costs while protecting services?
I think that's an excellent question, so thank you. There's a couple pieces to that. The first is Title I, Title II, Title III funding that also comes from the Department of Education on the federal level. Chapter 70 formula that we all are familiar with from state aid is a formula that hasn't been revisited in many years and needs addressing. I've had discussions with Representative Marcy, who's here today. I've had conversations with fellow districts. I've gone to meetings with other superintendents. I've gone to meetings with the Mass Association of School Committees. It's an issue that we're all addressing, but it's a full prudence that we move the legislature closer to remedying that and also advocating to the federal level for the funds that we need. And as Ms. Martin has pointed out, making sure that those funds and programs reach each student at their level to fulfill those needs. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Anthony. The very same question will go to Kristen Martin, and I will repeat it. Special education costs are rising in districts across Massachusetts. How would you approach managing those costs while protecting services?
Thank you. So, not to be a parrot, I won't go and spout all the different titles and things, but completely concur with what Anthony said. And then in addition to that, one thing I think that this committee is doing a good job with that I do think just to double tap on is going out and collaborating and working with our partners in fellow school committees in the district as well as at the state level, because ultimately a lot of this is something that we need to continue to collaborate on, work on. We are currently in a hold harmless status, which limits the amount of flexibility that we have in a lot of these areas. But yes, in answer to that, I think it's a matter of, just as I said in my opening statement, making sure that we are sourcing every avenue for these dollars that we can, and the dollars that we do get, that we are being good stewards of those dollars, and making sure that we're continuously tracking and managing those things to make sure that the kids that are needing these supports are getting those things.
Thank you. Kristen. Now we move on to the library trustee. And it'll take me a second to find that particular question. And here we are. The question is, what is your vision for the library's role besides, in addition to, lending books, particularly for digital resources, community program, and services for underserved residents?
Thank you. That's a great question. Yes, the library is definitely not just for books, as I kind of alluded to in my introduction. It's a community place for gathering. Right now, I know they're utilizing a grant for this year to have a lot of technology classes and sessions, and I know there's a plan in place to continue some of those efforts once that grant is over. So I would support being able to tap into some of those resources with Betsy and some of the staff being trained, giving our community those opportunities to learn. Also, there's a lot of great programming here already, so helping them to continue all that programming to help the underserved in our community be able to have a place to go and things to do and learn with no cost.
Thank you, Lisa. The next question is for the moderator seat, Kenny LaFerriere. And the question is, what does fair and orderly mean to you when running town meeting, especially on contentious articles?
The moderator has to say, no, I'm kidding. My feeling is, first, the moderator position, that person doesn't care the outcome. The outcome is what the people decide. And fair and orderly meetings are important to keep the momentum moving, keep the meeting efficient, but also allow everyone to have a say and really express the true meaning of democracy, to give everybody a say and participate in making decisions for the town. So that would be my, thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to William Fontaine for the Planning Board. And the question for you is, what role should the Planning Board play in affordable housing, and how would you balance that with neighborhood concerns?
Thank you for the question. Affordable housing in town. So through the management of different zoning areas in town, we have compliance for affordable housing. And on top of that, some of our zoning is limited if a developer comes in with a very large zoning subdevelopment, because the state zoning sometimes takes over for that. So we have to manage that and be aware that our local zoning ordinance may be superseded by the state's ability to bring in some affordable housing. But otherwise, I think it's clear Charlton has a lot of area, and we can accommodate quite a bit of space for affordable housing. And part of this is the state recently passed some laws that allow accessory dwelling units or apartments to be added to existing dwellings. So we're looking into that right now, and we have accommodated a lot of accessory dwelling units. Thank you, Charlton.
Thank you. The next one that we will have would be the Recreation Commission with Brad Howard. But before I ask the question, I made a slight error. I did not ask two questions to the Bay Path individual, so I'm going to go through and ask everybody one question this time. On the second run, Selectman race, Bay Path race, will each get two. I want to hear a little bit more from them. And now we're going to move to the Recreation Commission, Brad Howard. And your question is, how would you ensure recreational programming is accessible and affordable for all income levels in town?
It will be. we face a lot of unfunded mandates in this town. It's very important that the town maintains a real, understands the gravitas of what huge increases in spending are going to do to the tax rate. We don't want to scare people away. We don't want to force people away. Money that could be used to send one's child to participate in games might be needed to pay the grocery bills or tax bill. It's, the whole thing is, I personally contribute. I think that's the way to go. Everybody has to step up to ensure that everybody who wants to participate, each child that wants to participate, can and will participate. If their voices are heard, we must listen to them. I don't know how else to put it.
Thank you, Brad. We'll now move to selectmen, and we will go first with Steve Coronas. Seat 4 in the selectmen's question is, last year there was a proposal to change the name of our executive board from Board of Selectmen to Select Board. Did you support this change? And if so, or if not, what was your reasoning?
I did support that change, and particular, just even locally, we have a very bright young woman on our board, and if the name change certainly didn't offend me, but if it offended her, being called a selectman, and if we had the ability to attract more people like her, so be it. It made all the sense in the world to pass that. And I still feel that way. I'm still Steve Coronas, member of the Board of Selectmen. But I happen to be serving on the Select Board.
Thank you, Steve. The next person is Mike Kevorkian. Mike, the same question. Did you, the change of the name from Board of Selectmen to Select Board, did you support that change? And if so, or if not, what was your reasoning?
I did support that. I believe it is important because there are many committees, many boards that are here. And again, there needs to be more people that are involved with those committees and those boards. I don't believe that it's offensive to anybody to change it from selectman to select board. I happen to be, if elected, a selectman on the select board. So I don't believe that there would be an issue with anybody with that.
Thank you, Mike. The very same question goes to Bruce Menon. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Nope.
Thank you.
Got it. I support that change. I think it's reasonable. I think when half of your population are women, that it should be a gender-neutral stance that the board has. That's what I really, truly believe. I believe you honor tradition, you celebrate it, but you also have change going on, and it's best to embrace that. I think that culturally it made a lot of sense to me.
Thank you, Bruce. We're going right back to the top again now with Bay Path School Committee. This time, they'll each get 2 questions. The first question is, how would you strengthen collaboration? Oh, I'm sorry, I want to make sure this is to Clifford Cloutier. How would you strengthen collaboration between the vocational school and its sending districts so that schools, regardless of where they enroll, are supported and valued?
Well, the important part on the collaboration between the 2 schools is the knowledge of the student that you're receiving from them that they've had for all those years, and to know what you're receiving. But the other part is that in the past, the students, we used to teach our kids during the whole school year, and at the end, those that aren't doing that well, we usually have a summer program for them to help them along and keep them going, instead of sending them back to the other schools. Because when I became principal, that's what used to happen. The kids used to have to go back, and we would just say, okay, we take care of it, and then we'll take them back if they pass you. Now, what we have there, what we changed to, is that we take care of these students once we have them. And then the communication between both school, our school and the sending school, had more care that we were taking care of these kids during the whole process of their high school years, instead of sending them back for rehab.
Thank you, Clifford. The very same question, and I'll repeat it, goes to Michael Tiberi. How would you strengthen collaboration between the vocational school and its sending districts so that students, regardless of where they enroll, are supported and valued?
Yeah, so again, I second Cliff on the same, what he mentioned, right? So it's constant communication. Again, kids coming in from 8th grade, right? We had a vetting process, and it's now changing, right? And we've gone to a lottery, and that's state-driven. However, with the adoption of the kids coming into our program, and say if they are failing from the sending district, we do have the after programs to help support that student. And we are in constant communication. So the communication is ongoing through the students' 4-year program. We just continue that process and foster it.
Thank you, Michael. Now the second question for Clifford Cloutier. Question is, the regional school system, BAPAF, serves 10 towns. How do you ensure Charlton's interests and students are represented fairly?
Well, from the question earlier, all students come in and everyone's treated fairly and equally. And to oversee just because the school is in Charlton is a little more difficult to say it's, all right, you're from Charlton, so we're going to pick you first, or we're going to let you get on teams that other kids can't. And that's not the way it goes. It's every student is equal. It is lucky that the school is in this town. They receive being able to use, and I've signed off before from the baseball group coming up and using the fields. The soccer used to come up and use the fields. Basketball, they used to come up during the winter for using the gym up there. Does the school, does Charlton receive more amenities for the town? Yes. But all the kids that come up from all the schools are treated the same. And we can't turn around and pick because you're, like if I was going to have a student come in, I was going to, whether the student's going to be suspended for something they did or not, I can't say, well, you're in Charlton, you're in the town I live in, so we'll brush it off. We don't do that.
Thank you, Clifford. And now the same question, Michael. The regional school serves 10 towns. How do you ensure Charlton's interests and the students are represented fairly?
Yeah, so there's ground rules, right? Obviously, the 10 towns, right? All come here. Yes, our town has the amenities, options, fields, Cliff had mentioned. However, everybody's treated equal. Again, the school is using our services also, right? Fire, police. But just seconding Cliff again, it's fairness. There is a process, and it's an open process. So it's going to continue, and we're going to keep fostering. It's been a great program. It's a great school.
Thank you, Michael. And the next question goes to the Dudley Charlton Regional School Committee, Anthony Aubie. What is your philosophy on how the district should balance academic achievement with social emotional learning?
Wonderful. That has been a focus of the school committee this year, and we've been implementing year 1 in our training of ruler. We've worked with the school councils, and they've identified social emotional learning as being a priority in some of their, in every single one of the school SIP plans. And we've also tied that into MTSS as well, and just this last Wednesday, there's a new group at Shepherd Hill that has been established that is of their peers to make it more accessible to students that may not feel comfortable approaching adult, but maybe reaching out to a fellow peer. And my understanding is that the program is going so well and so well received by students that we are in the early stages of rolling that out to the 2 middle schools.
Same question to Kristen Martin. What is your philosophy on the district, on how the district should balance academic achievement with social, emotional learning?
I think, you know, a child can't learn if they haven't had breakfast necessarily, right? A child can't learn if they're coming to school and they've got holes in their socks, right? So we've got basic responsibilities here, that, you know, in terms of that. But just to bring it back to, you know, right? So we've got, sorry, I'm losing my train here. We're going to start over. So we've got, as Anthony mentioned, we've got a couple of you know, wonderful programs that are in place. We've got lots of work to do in that area as well. You know, as Anthony mentioned as well, in our school improvement plan, SIP, as he mentioned, we've got core tenets, right? We've got to focus on academics. We've got to focus as well on like the whole student experience. As I mentioned, right, these kids need to show up to school ready to learn and ready to learn with that support and success in mind, right? We've got multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS as well, that's rolling in. This is like a systematic thing, so as a data person, I get very excited about that. I'm going to finish up. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Now we move to the library trustee, Lisa Alvey, for her question. What population do you think the library is currently underserving, and how would you address that?
Right now, I believe the library does a great job with programs for children and seniors, and we can continue that. I would like to see just as much effort and enthusiasm going into that. I know they've been trying to also bring in young adult programming and staff and different methods to engage with that group. So I think we could probably put some effort into engaging those young adults and try to have some more engagement.
Thank you, Lisa. The next question is for Kenny LaFerriere as town moderator. How would you handle a situation where a vocal minority is trying to derail the debate on a popular article?
That's an excellent question. So first, I would remind the public and this individual that the town operates under town meeting time, the parliamentary procedures for the meeting. And I would remind this individual that everyone has a right to be heard, and I would eventually have to ask that individual to have a seat, because if they're taking over the opportunity for someone else to speak, that's certainly not fair and an equal representation here in our democracy.
Thank you, Kenny. The next question for the planning board for William Fontaine. What is your vision for responsible development over the next 5 to 10 years? Residential, commercial, or mixed use? I know a minute is not much.
Thank you, Frank, for the hard questions. I think, primarily it's looking after residential communities in town and preserving what people like about Charlton and why they moved to Charlton. So keeping the pastoral community, a rural community flavor to it is very important. We've heard that at our planning board meetings directly. And our zoning bylaws are the rules that we follow and that applicants have to follow. And we change the rules very often to keep up with the demands and requirements of residential. And we need a lot more of some things and less of other things. And commercially, the way we accommodate that, again, is through the bylaws, but more importantly, through the zoning. We have commercial zones, mostly on Route 20, and keep the commercial zone there, that's what it's for, and that's where we need more economic development and growth for commercial, would be on Route 12.
Thank you, William. The next question is for the planning board, for the Recreation Commission, and that is for Brad Howard. What is your position on the maintenance and expansion of recreational facilities, parks, and fields?
I think we're very fortunate to have a very large group of tens of people, tens of entities, how about that allow use of their fields. I think that some of the fields are underutilized for certain things, for certain purposes. Is there a problem with it currently? I think I would counter that with this was a very good conversation. And listen to the reply. What the neighbors is. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. The next question is for Selectman Steve Coronas. He'll be asked one question. He's running unopposed. The next two will be asked two. The question for you, Steve, is how do you define appropriate boundaries between elected officials and influential individuals or groups in town who try to exert influence?
Well, that's a good question. I think everybody has a voice, so you certainly have to give them the opportunity to be heard. Does it have an influence on or impact the final decision? In some cases, absolutely. We don't know all the answers, and we certainly want to listen to those people when they come to talk. And we have to be open-minded about it when they do that. I think there are certain times that I do change my mind from my first view of any type of opinion that I might have. But yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you, Steve. That same question now will be for Mike Kevorkian. You want me to repeat it, Mike? Please. Okay. How do you define appropriate boundaries between elected officials and influential individuals or groups who try to exert influence?
So I do believe that everybody should have their own equal voice to the committee or the board that they're presenting the information to. I also think that if they are influential, they are probably more vocal, willing to voice their opinion a little more freely, and I think everybody kind of needs to take that into consideration and look at their stance and step in their shoes for a little bit and see where they're coming from and what they mean. I don't think that anybody should be shut down for any reason, for any purpose. I think that the more people, again, that are involved and willing to speak, you should listen and see where they're coming from and what their views are and why they feel that way. Not necessarily do I think that it's going to align one way or the other or with your beliefs or not, but I think that everybody, again, should have that purposeful voice and speak freely and openly.
Thank you, Mike. The very same question for Bruce. Go ahead and repeat it.
No,
Okay.
I'm open to being introduced to the influential people in town, but I listen to understand, not to reply. I do my homework. I don't make a decision till I've heard all sides of the issue. I really believe that it's important to understand. And, you know, my experience in 30 years is that you may not always agree with the decision I make, but you will understand that I did my homework, that I listened to all sides, I'm making an informed decision, and it doesn't make a difference how big your wallet is.
Thank you, Bruce. And now I have a second question for Mike Kevorkian. And that question is, can you share an example of how you've worked to bring people together across differing viewpoints?
Sure. So in my professional career, I've been in the automotive business for the last 25 years. I started out as a salesperson. I worked my way into the finance and insurance office. I became a general manager of multiple stores, a Chevy store, a Harley Davidson store. Now I'm the account executive, like I said earlier, for about 100 different dealers across New England. I deal with a lot of different people and a lot of different thoughts and opinions from different departments. So just because the one dealership that I may be at doesn't mean that all sides see the same. So the sales side versus the service side versus the parts side, everybody has their own views, their own interests. And when they get together and we have meetings and we bring all the heads of those departments together, everybody shares their viewpoint. We take the information from all of those managers, and then as the executive committee or the executive accountant, we make those decisions based off what we hear from all parties. So there are, again, about 100 dealers that we deal with, and we deal with all the different departments, bringing everybody together.
Thank you, Bruce. Mike, and now the second question for Bruce. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, I think I got it. I served as vice chair of the Newburyport School Committee during COVID, and I chaired a 6-hour meeting to make sure that everybody who had something to say had the opportunity to say it. I've negotiated 5 contracts with the teachers union, and that you have to work across the table to do that. And probably the best job I ever did of bringing people together was that I got a, believe it or not, federal government excess, a housing development that used to be attached to a Nike base in Topsfield, Massachusetts, which is a very affluent community. And I was able to bring to the community a homeless shelter, transitional housing for homeless people with substance abuse, transitional housing for people with mental illness. And we were able to bring that to the community and get tremendous support from the community for those programs. That was a challenging time, but you bring people together by hearing what they say.
Thank you, Bruce. I'd also like to thank all of you as we begin our third round for your excellence in being concise. It's very much appreciated. Next, we will move to, again, BAPAV, and we will start with Cliff Cloutier, and the question is, what trades or programs do you believe the schools should be adding, expanding, or sunsetting, given current workforce needs?
The needs for the students come first, of course, of trying to get through and what they want. But we do look at the guidance of what shops bring in. I know they've added since I left was Diesel Mechanic, which was a huge addition because there is a job market out there for the students. I know right now they're talking about agriculture school, but that's a big iffy of what can come in, what property they can use for that. That's going to be a hard decision to make, especially if it's only looking at saving other places money just for just a couple of kids. Because I know we used to have agriculture school classes there, and that was eliminated because the enrollment of the students, the amount of kids that we would get to come in. We'd be more of looking for maybe kids from outside the district that actually would come in and take that program. So that is going to be looked at and reviewed by the committee to see what is the best decision for the school.
Thank you, Clifford. Now the same to Michael, to Barry. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good with it.
Okay.
So, the agricultural program was just recently brought to the committee at the last session. So if people want to be, so the only schools that offer it are out in Hampden County, Western Mass, and down in Plymouth County. So the radius is large. So the state has gone out, basically an RFP, to look at schools in this area. And, Charlton demographically is a good location to cover, obviously Worcester County to the outpoints. 55 working dairy farms at one time in this town. This was a big agricultural town. This is the third largest town in square acres in the state. Cliff has mentioned some challenges up there. We have to look at our facilities. Our facilities are kind of at max now. We're kind of landlocked on top of the hill. So a study would have to be done on an existing plant, but we do have a lot of land that we might be able to develop. And again, funding resources coming from the state, so it might give opportunity for more money coming into Bay Path. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And now the second question to Clifford. What steps can be taken to avoid a sense of competition between the vocational school and the local public schools?
Could you repeat the beginning?
Want me to repeat that?
Yes, please.
Sure. What steps can be taken to avoid a sense of competition between the vocational school and the local public schools?
Well, right now, they just, the state came in and changed the process of a student being able to pick the school, which one they want to pick. Now, that is the hardest point right there, is what individual student wants, or I should say anyone's child wants. And to come in and say that two different schools are doing picking, it's like, at school, when we were there, we're not looking at saying, okay, we're gonna go steal 100 kids from Shepherd Hills, and we're gonna fill our school up. It wasn't that way. There's certain limits that are put on at the beginning of, say, child usually gets about 40 seats at the beginning. Auburn, I think they had usually like 30, so those kids, that's the maximum amount that can come into the school beginning of freshman year. Now, they might wanna think of trying to do something if one of those students leave and goes back from Bay Path back to Shepherd Hill, then maybe they are pick a student off that list that would come up next on the way the system's going now. So that way it's even for like Charlton to Bay Path with student number ratio.
Thank you, Clifford. Michael, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay, the question is, what steps can be taken to avoid a sense of competition between the vocational school and the local public schools?
Okay, so that sense has actually flipped over the years. It's gone reverse. When I attended Tantascwa and I was in the vocational program, the sense was just the opposite of today. It's very competitive today. Everybody wants to go into the skilled trades. There's a big demand for it. So how do you make the other towns feel, like we're stealing their kids? You're starting to see the change at the other schools. David Prouty is one of them. They actually are adding on CTE programs, which is nice to see because we're a 10-town school. We're full. Leicester is expanded. We're starting to see some growth out in the community. So I think our neighboring schools are starting to bring back some of the basic core human needs skills. And I'm going back to middle school at Tantascwa. We had home ec, we had drafting, we had all these other opportunities to look at hands-on stuff. So I think our schools are bringing that back. So that's helped mitigate it.
Thank you, Michael. And now we have those two questions to each. We'll move on to the Dudley Chapman Regional School Committee. And this question is for Anthony Aubie. How would you approach curriculum disputes where parents and educators disagree?
So the DCRST school committee, like many other school committees, has a policy for curriculum dispute where you have a pathway to voice if your concerns or if you're in favor, and for you to address that with administration. In full transparency, that is not exactly the purview of the school committee because we write policy and we don't do curricula that's administrative. But through our policy, we give the opportunity for the Charlton residents to bring that concern forth for addressing. And making sure that the curricula is being delivered and appropriated appropriately to each student and in sympathy with their needs.
Thank you, Anthony. Now for Kristen, do you want me to repeat the question?
That's okay, thank you. This is an interesting topic for me because I think taking curriculum out, taking a book out of a library is something that should be taken very seriously. So I do believe that the policy review that the district has in place is a good thing, right? We have to take into consideration, making sure that the curriculum that we have, as well as like the other resources that we have that are not necessarily like directly curriculum related, are appropriate for our students, but also we're not censoring things due to our own personal beliefs. So I think having a formalized review process is one way to do that, because it forces us all to take a beat and consider why are we considering these changes, and also considering that we're making sure that these are all up to the standards, the high standards that we've been set in all of these different data points that we have available to us, to make sure that as we're making these changes, that they're improving our improving our schools, improving our students' experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. Now to the library trustee, Lisa Aubie. Your question is, how would you advocate for the library's budget in years when the finances are very tight?
That is a very good question. One thing I've learned over my years of management experience, and even just as a family, having to learn how to budget in hard times, a big part of that is collaboration. So being able to talk with your peers on the board, to be able to talk with the directors of the library, and to be able to collaborate with the town finance committee and the select board, and be able to get opinions and thoughts and review our policies and kind of look at where we can be fiscally responsible, as well as maintaining what we already have.
Thank you, Lisa. And now the question is for the moderator position, Kenny LaFerriere. Your question is, what changes, if any, would you consider to make at town meeting to make it more accessible and participatory for residents?
This is a great question, and I've been reading up on things from the state level through the Massachusetts Moderators Association. There are many towns that allow for more participation remotely at town meeting. That would obviously add challenges to the need to make sure that they're registered voter and they have an appropriate place to be there. But one town in particular allows for questions to be answered remotely through a text system, through the and we have to set that technology up that allows questions to be asked, and we answer them at the meeting. That person isn't voting remotely, but they can ask questions from home. And I thought that was an interesting idea, and that may be something that Charlton wants to consider. Again, I don't see the moderator position as a position that makes decisions. It's up to the people to make that decision. I'm just here to facilitate the meeting. And so that I would leave it to the people to decide if they want to expand participation at our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. And the next question is for the planning board seat, William Fontaine. The question is, how do you evaluate development proposals that are technically compliant with zoning, but may still have significant community impacts?
Thank you, Frank. We use a peer review system, an engineering peer review system. So when applications or developments become very technical, which they do with stormwater management and a lot of other regulations, the town helps us with an engineer, a local engineer that we have contracted with. And so we rely on them. There's a staff of professional engineers, and they review for us and summarize the issues. And then we use that as a to-do list to remedy any of the deficiencies that the applicant has in their application, and we force them to update their application to, commit to and meet the regulations. So that's mostly it, and the town, and then we vote on it, so it's very much like every other board here. It comes down to a vote among the members of the board for the approval or denial of an application.
Thank you, William. The next question is for the Recreation Commissioner seat to Brad Howard, and your question is, how should the commission approach programming for underrepresented groups, seniors, teens, and people with disabilities?
One of the main problem I see in this town is participation. I don't mean anything disrespectful to anybody. When we have 70 people, 90 people, 101 people at a town meeting, ladies and gentlemen, that's an excuse. We have to get participation up one way or another. This is a classic example of it. Folks have to understand that it's not all about them, it's about the town. If you skip any of your civic responsibilities, it's going to have repercussions down the road. You or I, at this moment, 60 seconds, can't even come up. It's folks have to communicate, pass the word. We have to re-examine what worked in the past, because there's some stuff right now and I'm not aiming this at the Recreation Commission, certainly, but there are some things going on now that just don't seem to work. Not enough time to evaluate. But everybody, hey, volunteer. There's a lot of spots open. We need volunteers. We need you all.
Thank you, Brad.
Volunteer.
The very next question is for Selectman Seat 4, Steve Coronas. Steve, what is your vision for managing the town's long-term fiscal health, particularly given the rising costs of all services?
That's a good question. I think I've kind of addressed that in my opening speech a little bit, although we're only 2 minutes. I have more to go with that. It's we're at the part of the curve now. The town is very healthy. We are healthy. You can see in the papers every single day, every town around us is that they're struggling to meet their budgets. They're talking about overrides. We're not insulated from that. We're probably only a year or two away from that. So I think we really need to be, this is where the experience is going to come in, is we really need to be able to watch what we're spending, projects that we're taking on, can it be delayed, and a little stronger identification over wants versus needs. I think there's always a gray area there, because that's where budget comes into it. Is it really a need, or can it wait? We're probably 2 years away from really having some hard discussions over budget. It's better to start having them now, rather than we're already deep in the water.
Thank you, Steve. Now we'll move to Mike Kevorkian. I'll give you the same question, and then you and Bruce will get an additional question. So would you like me to repeat the question? Please. What is your vision for managing the town's long-term fiscal health, particularly given the rising cost in services?
So with my background, again, my professional career, a lot of it is budget control. So with dealerships, there's a lot of different expenses that come in from different avenues. And lucky for me, I've been able to go into dealerships that are in the failing situation and turn them around to a profitable, more active dealership. And I think that here in Charlton, like Steve said, as far as right now, we do show to be on the healthy side. However, with some upcoming expenses that we know are coming. I think that there will be some tough decisions that need to be made and possibly some allocation of money being sent in other places. So again, I think with my background and my knowledge, it's like Steve said, it's a want versus a need, and we need to find and determine what are the needs versus the wants.
Thank you, Mike, and the very same question for Bruce. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, thank you. I've had the opportunity to work with some very large budgets, as I've said, over the course of my time on the school committee. A conservative estimate of the amount of taxpayers' funds that we had to approve and monitor was $500 million over that period of time. I've run agencies, multiple agencies. I've had to deal with budgets. I think that here are some important factors. One is transparency. Everybody has to be on the same page and understanding what we have and what we need. A lot of communities have turned to sort of more creative ways to raise funds. Grant writing, being very aggressive in seeking those kinds of supports. I also think that you need to be honest with people. I have a difference with my two partners here. I agree you have to determine what you want and need, but let's have a conversation about what is a want. A third of the population here are seniors, and we have a senior center that doesn't even comply with the ADA, the American Disability Act, which has been on the books for almost 30 years.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. And now the second question to Michael. A simple, short question. What do you think about term limits for local elected positions?
It's a very good question. I do believe in term limits, whether it's national, whether it's federal, whether it's local. I don't believe anybody should have their feet planted and start growing roots. I believe everybody should have their chance. And again, that's where I think a lot of us have spoken up and said that there needs to be more people involved. As you see, there's been some open seats at some of these town elections, and I don't know why there's open seats, but again, involvement comes into play with that.
Interestingly enough, I am not a supporter of term limits for one simple reason, that I don't think anybody should tell me who I can or cannot vote for under any conditions. I believe strongly that the people will make the choice. If you give them all the information they need to make a good decision, you get a good decision. So I trust the community, I trust the people. People are not the problem, they're the solution.
Thank you, Bruce. And now we'll move back and start again. Faith Path, starting right now with Clifford Cloutier. And your question is, what does a successful relationship between the school committee and the superintendent look like to you?
The school committee is supposed to be the superintendent's boss. They're the ones that hire him, fire him, and the one that's supposed to oversee the operation of the school. The school committee is supposed to make sure that he is doing his job with his employees and making sure the students are receiving their services. It's the superintendent's responsibility to make sure that, like the business manager in the school, is running the books, and that the money that is coming in is the same money that's supposed to be going out, and coming out to a balance so there's no scrambling at the end, where they turn around and you have to lay staff off. That's the worst thing, to be a good staff person, and you have to lose your job because the books weren't watched, and they didn't have enough time or process to get the finances in order for this, for the next school year to come across. They're told ahead of what money's coming to and from the state, and they set a budget to go out. But it's important for this, never mind the teachers, the students receive proper services through the budget.
Thank you, Clifford. Very same question for Michael. Do you want me to repeat it? What does a successful relationship between the school committee and the superintendent look like to you?
Constant communication and checking in on his work. Okay? He is the chief. The superintendent is the chief, overseeing the whole process of the school. It is our job to make sure, look in, and check. We sign every warrant. We look at everything. We just had our audit. We look at everything. We want to make sure the students are getting what they're getting, the teachers are getting what they're getting. Okay, everything is fair, it's transparent and open. That's important. That's our job, to make sure he's doing his job. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now we're back to Clifford for the second question. This question comes from the audience here. What strategies would you suggest to resolve such disputes that you see at negotiation time while keeping the legal fees at a minimum?
I've seen in the past how we used to run negotiations and work things out when I was there, and we try to work with teachers in doing things and trying to be upfront for both sides and working with it. It's important to have the communication part going smoothly, where they can talk back and forth and not have a paid person be sitting there and maybe drawing the meeting out just so they can receive more money. And to make sure that the teachers, yes, they need to get paid. There has to be salary increase. But it also should line up with what is the superintendent receiving for the job he's doing while he's sitting there. I mean, maybe he could answer and tell you how much he just received for a pay increase for next year. You know, come out with the different lines. What are they doing with the teachers? And what has happened in the past few years since he's been superintendent? What is there? Finance is important, and it should start at the top and come through everyone and what everyone gets.
Michael, same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
What strategies would you suggest to resolve disputes that you get at during negotiations while keeping legal expenses at a minimum?
Always have the door open and come in and willing to talk. And it has to be a small group of people. It can't be hundreds of people coming to talk. You have to have your subcommittees together, come and talk in closed door session to work out their issues. That's what needs to be done. And it's very important. And again, everything has to be looked at financially. It's not an open checkbook. We have budgets. Healthcare is the biggest thing we're trying to overcome right now. And everybody has to be creative, and everybody's got to be flexible. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I've been advised to tell you that we end this at 12:15. We have 5 more minutes. I will ask questions until we get to that. I do appreciate how concise you've been. It is a testament to how good a candidate you are to be able to do that. Thank you for that. Now we'll move on to the Dudley Charter Regional School, to Anthony Aubie, and your question is, what is your position on inter-district communication? And should the school committee keep both town residents informed and other towns informed?
Yes. It's as simple as that. The more communication, collaboration you have, the better everyone at the table is. That has been one of my big focuses, and I encourage you to reach out to local officials like Mr. Coronas, or Ms. Spiewak, or Mr. Marcy, or the people on the select, or the finance committee. Collaboration is not a dirty word, and compromise is not a dirty word. Our obligation is to the betterment of our students, and we are a better community when we do that. It's non-negotiable between. Yes, we need to collaborate as best as we can. Thank you.
And very very same question to Kristen Martin. Would you like me to repeat it?
Sure, thanks.
Okay, the question is, what is your position on inter-district communication? How should this committee keep both the town residents and the other districts equally informed?
Sure, so, taking the same assumption that Anthony did, that we're talking about our town as not necessarily districts at large. Apologies if that wasn't the intent. I completely agree, this is a core tenet. We need to make sure that we are using the resources that we have available to us. We have a lot of really smart people in a lot of very important positions, and it would be remiss of us not to make sure that we are absolutely making the most of that opportunity. So I'm gonna cede the rest of my time. Maybe we'll get a select board question.
You both answered that well. I think what the intent was that they were wondering, there are other school districts, of course, that you might be able to collaborate with on certain programs that you wouldn't offer, they might offer. And you attacked it correctly. Thank you for that. And now, I think we've got one question for library trustee. I know that this person is excited to know that.
So excited.
And down at this end, we have the selectman who is saying, yep, I'm done. But let me just get that one and I'll be right with you. Page is not turning quickly. Okay. Library trustee, and that is going to be Lisa Alvey. The question is, with a library this size, how do you answer questions as you're not using the entire building enough?
So that's a great question. It is a great library. The building is, I've been learning about it for the 8 years that I've been here, and it was one of the main reasons I moved to town. And I think the library does a really good job of utilizing all areas of the library. I love the new community room that they redid downstairs and have brought in a great feature of the art that's in there, and being able to bring the community in there, and as well as having meetings so that people can see our community's art. I think it's important to continue on that road. And as a member of the Cultural Council, I'd love to see more art culture in our town and at our library.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to all of you who showed up, interested in the town. It's good to see a large number of people here. Also, a thank you to all the participants who were extremely professional and concise in their answers, and that bodes well for the town of Charlton to have qualified people running for office. So I thank you all. If you wish to come up and speak with these individuals who are up here, feel free. That concludes the question part. Thank you all.